Disruptors. You all know that when we are doing a podcast and I get to do it with another person, it makes me very happy than when I'm doing it all on my own. But this podcast, I have been looking so forward to. We are going to be talking today to Deb. Now, I know we have a coach named Deb. That's Coach Deb. We'll call her Deb M. But Deb has been with us for almost 3 years. And I love telling the stories of the women who have been part of our family for so long. This is part of really what I think makes us different, but what's so important to me, that you just don't come in and try to figure out what to do and then leave, that we're with you every step of the way. And Deb just texted me recently, and she was asking about exercise and how she could step it up and what we needed to do. And I took a look at what she had available in her area. And that's so important to us. So Deb, I am so excited that you are here and that you're, it's not always easy to tell your story and to get on, the Zoom and do a podcast. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's nice to be here.
Oh my goodness. So let's just talk through. I mean, we met around the pandemic time. And so right. What brought you to us? What was your story? Why did you say yes to yourself? Give us all the things.
Right. Well, if we want to back up a little bit to my lifelong challenge with my body and my weight is I remember going on a diet when I was in 8th grade. And because of my mom's challenges that were passed on to me, it was just a thing, and it's always been a thing with me. And I have done all of the diets that I know a lot of people have. I've gone back to a lot of them that have just repeated, and it's just been crazy. But I've done all the
8th grade. You're like what, 13-ish, right?
About going to a different that I, thought I could start over. And so I'm on a diet, which I did lose some weight, but I just can't imagine that being such an important thing at that age. And it just makes me sad to look back at that.
Mm-hmm. And that's, we're talking about decades and decades and decades.
Yeah. I'm 50. I'm not embarrassed to say I'm 55. So it's been a long time. It's been a real long time, but
that's like 40, more than 40 years. Well, like minus 3 years you've been with us. So about 40 years.
That's right. That's right. And I kind of look at my journey back then. I was either in feast or famine. I was just not caring and eating whatever. Or I was totally depriving myself to cut calories, to cut everything to try to lose weight. And so my body really didn't know how to respond. And I think I'm still fighting that. I think that's something that takes a long time to get back. And during those times I had struggled with emotional eating. I've struggled with a sugar addiction. Just all of those things I've had to work on over the years. So when I found you in 2020, the fall before that, I had a complete hysterectomy. So you can imagine what that, I had precancerous cells that were turning cancerous. And my body was spiraling after that. And then the pandemic hit, and life was just crazy, as it was for everybody. And so finding you all was just a godsend, really, because it's done so much for me the past few years.
I mean, when I think about all that you've gone through, and then all of those pieces of the puzzle that just felt like you couldn't find,
Right.
and the constant search for so long. What made you believe me?
Well, I had kind of gone on to clean eating and had kind of really started to see the benefits of that part of the puzzle and how to eat better foods. But I didn't even really understand what proteins, fats, and carbs were. I had never had that simply told to me. Those are our 3, important things we need, and that we needed them all. I grew up through the years of, a lot of us did in the 80s and 90s, where it was low fat. Everything was low fat.
Yep.
And that was bad, I thought.
Right.
And
I mean, that's what we were told. But then, in order to make up for things, that makes things taste good. And so then they
yes,
had to put all sorts of garbage inside of it to make it taste good.
I've learned that through one of our book studies we did.
Yeah.
I was, and my husband was very interested in all of that too. So, um, yes, you look back at the history of how the food companies and everything, it's kind of shocking. But I was right there through all of that. So fat was bad, carbs were bad. I years ago, right before I got married, which would have been in 1988, I did a diet which was I had to check my urine to see if I was in ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back that long ago, but it was total deprivation.
It all comes back again, doesn't it?
I was barely eating anything because I had to be in a really small wedding dress. That was important.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so see, my body's been through a lot after all years.
And
So
Deb, I think that that's what's so important. So when you think about all that your body has gone through, we know that each one of us has a certain body type that we're born with. And then based on what we end up kind of doing with our bodies over the
right,
years, our set point will start to adjust and change. And so that set point, the higher it gets, the slower our metabolism gets. And we can change our set point, but it for some can take a while because, when you're talking about 4 decades plus a hysterectomy, right? And all of the kinds of things that go along with just 4 decades of dieting,
right,
your set point started off really high.
right.
And you have been consistently working on lowering your set point and at the same time raising your self-awareness,
Right.
increasing your skill set around your knowledge of food. It's pretty cool to see how this whole process has been playing out for you over all these years.
Right. I've learned so much, and disruptive nutrition has been amazing experience for me to keep me motivated, to keep me learning, to keep me growing, to keep working all of my systems, all of the things, taking the time to, when you're a mom, all the years I homeschooled my kids, all the years that I didn't take care of myself, I just look back at that, and you can't live in guilt,
Yep,
but you look back at that and wish you'd done things different, but I can do things different from here out. And that's
exactly.
so.
Exactly. And that's your mindset really, clicking in and telling you like the stuff we talk all the time, right? In our group about what you can control and what you can't control. And you can't control the past. You can
Can't
only control moving forward in the
no.
future. So when you talk about, I do want to talk about your experience and how you've kind of made the shift over to this whole new lifestyle, really, amongst, I mean, you still have kind of a same crazy life that you had 3 years ago, but you're making it all work. So
Right.
I want to get into that. But what also is interesting to me is how you've been able to, it's not just about sustaining, because you're still working to lower your set point, right? You're still actively working. And I always say how we lose weight has to be how we maintain it. It just has to
Right.
be a part of our life and continuing to go. So talk about the things that you do, because in your past, you have done lots of diets, tried it, fell off, came back, did another one, turned around. And you've now done this, been working with us for 3 years.
Mhm.
How is it that you've been able to continue to sustain, maintain, and continue to make progress for 3 years?
Well, a lot of it has to do with your why, which we talk a lot about. I have to be focused on why I'm doing this and why it's important. And as so many women, especially at this age, I'm in the sandwich generation where I have grown kids, I have grandkids, um, I have parents who live in the same town as us. I lost my mother, but I still have my father, and my husband's parents are both here, and they have a lot of health problems. And so we have a church family. We own our own business. So I'm pulled lots of different directions, like I know a lot of people are. And I have to have that consistency. I've had to learn to do my morning time. My morning time is something I did for a long time, and then I stopped, and then I get reconvicted. I need to be doing it, and I'm back to doing it. And I've been doing it for quite a while now. And I can't get my day going correctly, if I don't sit there and have that time. I'm, as a Christian, I have the time with God, but I also have time to regroup and figure out what I'm doing for the day. And that's been a big piece. But
It's a
keeping the
big piece of what we teach, because we know that how you kind of structure yourself in the morning is going to, you start off chaotic, there's no other way to be.
right. And as you age, you start thinking about, what am I going to be like if I live to my 60s and my 70s and my 80s. And when you see your parents going through so many health problems that have compounded
Yep.
through medical decisions that have been made, and you just want to, I love, you say this, and I've heard other health professionals say this, but I love the saying, I want to die young as late as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go through that. If that's my choices that are causing me to go down that road, then what is it worth? That's just not worth it.
Right. I always say that we're on this earth for a purpose. It's not to find the right diet, but there's something
Right.
there. And I don't want to go any earlier than I should because of the choices that I made long term, But we always talk about this as being like a marriage, a relationship between you and your body, right? That you have to continue to cultivate, just like your marriage that you have with your husband and how you've been cultivating that. So give us a sense, because this is really important for people to kind of future cast, to see. You have a very crazy life, right? Like, you don't always know what one day is going to bring you over the next day, but you're still cultivating this relationship with your body, with yourself. So what are the things that you're doing on a regular basis to show up for yourself when it comes to your mindset, your body, and just your lifestyle?
Right. As I've already said, staying engaged in the group is so very important to me.
Yeah.
Coaching calls, all of the programs and different things that you guys do just help keep me focused and keep my mindset where it needs to be. And then the systems around food. I mean, the weeks that things do fall apart. This year, my father was in the hospital for over 4 weeks, and 2 of the weeks were in another town that was 4 hours away. So I had my systems in place where I could take food, especially when I was here in town. It was easy to take food to the hospital. I didn't have to spend a lot of time figuring out what I was going to eat. I just knew what I was going to eat. I had my Aloha bar and my collagen in my purse. So I always had that with me. You have the things, you learn to do the things so that you're prepared for whatever's going on, which, it wasn't easy. There was times I didn't do perfectly with my eating, but I did the best I could. And I did what I was prepared as I could be. I knew how to choose things at the cafeteria or how to eat out. All of that's just an important part. And I kept my focus on why I was doing it.
Yep.
So
I love that. That's really so important, is that why, and really understanding that. What do you think is the game changer for you? And there might be a few of them in terms of why you've been able to stick with this as long as you have compared to other approaches, diets, things that you've done in the past.
Well, even if I don't feel like all the weight is where I want it to be, I mean, I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm healthy. And I go to the doctor. My blood sugar is where it needs to be.
Awesome.
I sleep usually. Of course, I have my moments like everyone does, but when I'm doing everything and everything's going well, my sleep is where it needs to be. I've learned to balance all those plates and I feel good.
Yeah.
I have more energy than some people in my life who are younger than I am.
For sure.
I had grandkids here for a week. They just left yesterday, and they're 4 and 1 or 2, 4 and 2. And I was, up with them and running and doing the things and lifting them. And those are things I don't want to give up if I can help it.
Exactly. I love that so much. And I guess it's like, when you think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, we've talked about this before too. I think about our journey as this pendulum, right? And so we're on one end, we're at risk. And a lot of the women that come to us, including you, we're in that at-risk category. Most women that come to us are in the at-risk category, women, men, all of that. And then as we continue to learn and we learn how to fuel our bodies correctly, we can move to the healthy and then fit. And then the other side of the pendulum, people get surprised about that it's performance. Performance, fitness models, bodybuilders, they look really lean and strong and amazing, but very often they are very unhealthy because of the way that they're fueling their body to almost biohack it to look at that, to get to that level of body fat percentage, right? And so when you think about it on a pendulum, either side of performance or on at risk is not sustainable. It's scary. You can't live in this performance realm because you're going to give up everything that you love in life.
Right.
And the at risk, you are at risk of giving up your life. And so you are confidently and securely in the healthy towards fit too, because let's be honest, you are like a boxer.
I am.
That's amazing.
Just to be clear, I don't box people. So I box bags. I always have to buy that with people. I'm not getting hit in the face or anything like that, or hitting anybody in the face. But
You're
yes,
not like an MMA fighter or anything like that. But
although,
is that new?
yeah,
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, so you love that. But that's really interesting too, because recently you connected with me and you're like, okay, I think it might be time to change things up. But you know your body so well now. You knew that you're like getting hurt a little bit more than you normally would. It's a lot of impact. And while there's strength training components to it, we know that the strength training piece may be where you can kind of spin that plate a little bit more. So you're looking to make some shifts and changes. And that's what I love. When you get to a point, or when you're thinking you need a change, it's not like I got to go find a new diet. It's like I got to look at my 6 spinning plates and figure out which one I need to spin a little bit more.
Right, exactly. And that's where I'm trying to move from the healthy to the fit more. And that's where I'm looking more. I've done some weight training, but pretty much just kind of hit and miss on my own. And I really need to start down that path because I don't want to lose muscle. We're watching our lose their muscles.
That is what I love right now. What you just said, you said, because I don't want to lose muscle. The why for you is so around loving yourself and being able to be there to love others. And that's such a strong, important reason to be fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as we age and as we're eating PFC, like we got to use that protein to be able to really like get our muscles into a place so that we can really truly have functional use of our body for a long time. So I love that you're pushing the envelope for yourself in that way. That's go ahead.
As my dad was sick, I just kept pressing him about eating protein. And unfortunately, he kind of listened and kind of didn't. But then when the doctor finally told him to eat protein, then it became real to him. But it's funny to me because it's a different generation when you look, which I'm all for the medical community. We need the medical community and they're great. But, we're responsible for our own health. They're not responsible for our health. We are.
And we know right now, Deb, you know more about nutrition and taking this road towards health than most medical professionals do, because they simply have not ever been trained in this.
Right.
Yep. You are your own, literally your own nutrition guru. My whole goal is that you know enough to be able to teach this.
Yes.
Do you think that that's true for you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, not everyone will listen to me. I wish they'd listen, but I do talk a lot about it. And I do, try to let people know what I found about health and the importance of eating food.
Of eating, just eating. How different does your life look now than it did when you started?
Well,
what's different?
I feel convicted that I can, first of all, change my health. I can improve my health. There's hope for the future that I don't have to go down the road that our parents have had to go down. I feel secure in that what I'm doing is the correct thing for my body. And I just have to keep working on it. But as you've talked about before, and you brought this up when we were talking earlier, is just about that it's a journey. And I think that part's so important because the final destination, what's the final destination? There's not a final destination.
Mhm.
It's just, it's a constant journey, and none of us are ever all there. It's just something you keep learning and improving. I mean, that's how life is. And my husband and I love to hike. We hike a lot. And a year and a half ago, we climbed a mountain. And it was quite a journey to the top. And of course, getting to the top was amazing. Looking around, we were on a 14er in Colorado. So it was quite amazing. But when we look back and talk about it now, it was the getting up the mountain that we're most proud of, because there were a lot wanted to quit. We couldn't breathe. We're from Missouri. We couldn't breathe in the air. You know, we were taking 50 steps and stopping to breathe. But the journey is just as important, and stopping to look around and to notice the little things. And this is, for me, has been a journey. It's not just getting to a certain point or getting to a certain weight or getting to anything like that. It's just figuring things out as I go and growing.
And that, to me, is what's so different, because when I was on a diet, when I was always dieting, I was always like, is it working? Is it working? Is it working?
Right.
Am I losing weight? Am I losing weight? And it's now this just place of peace, but still a focus. I thought I didn't want to think about food anymore, but what I really needed was not to obsess around my body, and needed to feel confident in what I was doing was right. And that's like what a perfect example of you. You are so confident in what you're doing is right. And you still have goals you want to meet, and you still have progress you want to make, but you sit in that confidence that what you're doing is going to get you to where you really want to be, and ultimately to the place of you being just self-sufficient for decades and decades and decades ahead.
Yep. That's our goal. I know you love Dave Ramsey.
Yes.
I have a great Dave Ramsey quote, if I can read it for you.
Go.
And it goes saying, it's success is not a gleaming, shiny mountain. It's a pile of mistakes that you're standing on instead of buried under. And that's kind of how I've got over the guilt of the past, is those mistakes led you to where you are. And it's the same way with our food choices and all the diet rabbit holes I went down and all of those things. I've gotten to the point now where I'm more on top and seeing the shiny mountain.
Oh,
And
that is so inspiring.
I love that quote.
I love that quote. And it just allows you to almost be grateful, because without all of that, it's the reason why, like, I can't get 20-year-olds to listen to me, right?
Right.
They haven't had enough of the bumpy, dirty, difficult path that
Right.
allows them to see the need to go a different way.
That's a good thing about getting older, is we have that.
Mhm.
We're in
Exactly.
a place
And
to look back.
now, as we get older, we need to like be able to be alive and well to use that wisdom to be able to help
Exactly.
others.
Exactly.
Just think
So
about those grandkids of yours and how much you're going to be able to impact their lives. That's the thing that I always talk about. It's like, yeah, we want to give our children or grandchildren a better life than what we had. And we often think about it as a financial kind of a thing. But at the end of the day, the more money you have, almost the more screwed up the kids can get. So I just think there's no better gift for you as a grandmother to be able to give to your grandchildren than the gift of health and educating them and being able to show them. Because at 4 years old, like my nephew, I have a nephew that's 2, a nephew that's 3, a nephew that's 6, and they all eat PFC.
right.
And
Right.
it's just a part of now who they are. And I love that that's just going to be just what they do.
Right. I've had one of my oldest grandson has gone home to his parents and said, ask about what's protein on his plate. So I am having some sort of influence there.
I mean, you were what, 52 when you figured all that out?
Exactly. Hopefully they'll be a lot farther down the path a little quicker than I was. So
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, Deb, I'm just so excited that you are here sharing your story, that 3 years in, you're still just as active, you're still just as engaged. And to me, that is a testament to you. I always joke that we're going to, or not joke, I'm serious, like we're going to put the gutter guards down. Like,
Right.
like if you're bowling, I'm not going to let you go in the gutter, but you gotta bowl. You gotta pick up the ball and bowl. And you're not going to always hit a strike. Sometimes you're not going to hit any pins. But if you don't bowl, you'll never, ever, ever be able to actually be a part of this game and be able to have even a chance at winning. And you bowl.
Right.
Deb, you bowl every day. And I know some days you feel like you bowl better than others, but you
Right.
don't go in the gutter because you show up and you're constantly learning. You're open, you're curious, you ask questions, you engage, you listen to the coaching calls, to our guest coaches, to our book studies. I mean, all of that as part of being a client and a member is
Mm-hmm.
something that I can provide. It's like a gift. If you don't open it, you don't
Right.
get the benefit of it. And you continue to open it all the time. So I just need you to know how proud I am of you and how inspirational you are to me, to our coaches, to the other members. So when new members come in, I always talk about how we have members that have been here for years and you are still helping to answer questions or to be a part of that community. And so I just want to appreciate you very much for all that you do and how you show up.
Thank you for all you do.
Love you. I'm so excited that we did this. Any last words of wisdom for people, especially because a lot of people listening to our podcast aren't necessarily clients, right? They're not necessarily members in our group. And as you, I know you have people in your life that are not necessarily following the lifestyle that you wish they would. What is something you say to people to try to get them, at least 1%
Well,
further?
just the piece that comes from knowing what you do is right for your body. I mean, that's what it comes down to, is knowing that stabilizing your blood sugar, which is the core of what you do, is really the best thing for your body. And when you see the results of that in your blood work and you see that in your life, and from different things you've experienced that you're doing the right thing for your body, that piece is something you can't find anywhere else. And no other diet. I mean, for a long time, other things would pop up and I would go, oh, and I would look at someone else's, what they were doing. And after a little bit of time, you realize that those aren't the answers. I have the friends who do the keto, who do the intermittent fasting, who do all those things. And it just takes time, and you have to stick with it to truly understand the benefits of what you're teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, right? It's a based in science designed for your body to thrive. Would you let your kids do it? And can you do it for the rest of your life? Well, you are
Exactly.
thriving. You would let your grandkids do it. And now you're in for the rest of your life, as you have
Yeah.
been for the last 3 years. So you passed the litmus test.
Hey.
I love it. Deb, thank you so much. As you guys are listening to Deb, what is something you are taking away? What is inspiring you? What are you taking from this? Deb's story is important because it helps other people realize that this is possible, to live with food freedom and to be able to focus on your purpose. So wherever you are in your journey, there's a place for you at Disruptive Nutrition. Take the risk, get on a call with a coach. Let's talk through your story and figure out a path for you. Deb, don't you think that that's like the best advice to do?
Advice. I love it. And I would recommend one to do just that, and to figure this out and take control of their own health before it's too late, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The longer we wait, the harder it is.
So
Deb, you're the
thanks.
best. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
All right. Thanks.